Welcome to our novel, Sons of Power. Hit that like button and subscribe to our channel if you have not done so already.
In the sultry summer of 1503, upon the passing of the valiant Emperor Richard of Thessaly, the imperial crown fell to his younger son, John. Meanwhile, James, the eldest son and Duke of Harrington, had already carved out a formidable domain for himself in southern England. Though Richard had granted him the title Prince of Thessaly, it was evident the crown would ultimately grace the head of one of John's sons, each of whom boasted a male heir of their own. James, a mastermind behind Henry VII's stable reign, had earned a reputation as a trusted advisor and seasoned warrior, playing a pivotal role in the Battle of Bosworth Field in 1485. His wealth burgeoned to such an extent that whispers of his fortune surpassing that of the king himself began to circulate. As Columbus's exploits seized the headlines in the waning years of the 15th century, England's enthusiasm for funding New World expeditions surged, causing their support for their Thessalian allies to wane, and so, with Richard's passing, the tenuous peace with the Ottomans crumbled, and open hostilities resumed in 1505. Emperor John's rule was marked by triumph and tribulation, but ultimately he held the line. As age sapped his vigor, he leaned on his son's military prowess to protect their legacy, but the relentless tide of the Ottomans seemed insurmountable. Though allies rallied to their side, it was never quite enough. In 1525, John succumbed to illness, bequeathing the Thessalian throne to his middle son, Alexandros, the last of his line to survive the unending strife with the Ottomans. Alexandros valiantly held the invaders at bay, but eventually Thessaly was engulfed by their relentless advance. As the family's coffers ran dry, their ranks of warriors and mercenaries dwindled, tipping the scales in favor of the Ottomans. Yet in the face of despair, a surge of regional solidarity breathed new life into the emperor's forces, enabling them to stem the Ottoman tide and eventually reclaim their lost Thessalian lands at a harrowing cost. Countless Thessalian lives were sacrificed on the blood-soaked fields of battle, a grim chapter later dubbed the Horror Campaign. Emperor Alexandros drew his final breath on October 2, 1551, as the kingdoms of Britain and Iberia embarked on their own conquests in the New World. Among these voyages was one led by Richard Harrington II, the son of James Harrington and grandson of Emperor Richard I. As the head of House Harrington in England, Richard II was convinced that the New World held the key to his family's future prosperity. Richard II's son, Richard III, rose to prominence as a formidable admiral in the British Navy, often clashing with his distant cousin. Fate had it that Richard II's brother, Lord Elliot Harrington, found love in the Iberian court, wedding a wealthy duchess with ties to the crown. The couple bore a son, Don Juan Sebastian Harrington Valdez, who became a distinguished officer in the Iberian colonial administration. He frequently crossed paths and swords with his cousin, Richard III. Their rivalry ultimately cleaved House Harrington in two, with Elliot's branch pledging their allegiance to the Iberian crown, held by House Delgado at the time. The ensuing decades were marked by exploration and wars between major European powers as they sought to expand their reach in the New World. The British Empire, ever westward bound, eventually reached the Pacific Ocean, tantalized by the possibility of uncharted lands ripe for conquest. Back in Greece, the Thessaly Empire reeled from devastating losses against the Ottomans, culminating in the fall of the magnificent city of Morea in the summer of 1612. The empire had stood for over a century, but ultimately the Ottomans prevailed, bringing all of Greece under their dominion. The proud Palailogos dynasty, vanquished by the Ottomans once more, regrouped in southern Iberia, plotting a counterstrike. However, their coffers had been drained by a century of warfare against the Ottomans, leaving them unable to garner tangible support from their European allies. A lifeline appeared in the form of an offer from their British Harrington kin. Clark Harrington, Duke of Arlington, financed the newly formed British Pacific Company, an exploration venture aimed at charting the Pacific Ocean in search of new lands. In exchange for Emperor Theodoros's manpower and support, the Thessalians would be granted land to resettle far beyond the Ottomans' reach. With no other options, the deposed emperor accepted the terms and set sail from the western coast of New Iberia, the largest and newest Iberian colony, hotly contested between the Iberians and the British. In the sweltering summer of 1620, an unlikely pair, Commander Clark Harrington of the British Navy and his distant cousin, the dethroned Emperor Theodoros Harrington Palailogos of Byzantine heritage, set sail for the mysterious expanse of the Pacific Ocean. Their joint ambition was twofold: to claim virgin territories for the Crown of England and to find a sanctuary for the displaced Greeks. The agreement between them was explicit. In return for their help, the Byzantine settlers would secure a substantial tract of land, but would refrain from any further explorations. After enduring years of rough seas, native confrontations, and numerous discoveries, their attention was ensnared by a certain archipelago. Its unparalleled beauty, resting serenely along the equator west of New Iberia, rendered them speechless. This crown jewel, Waktalia, was home to the robust Waktali civilization, a Polynesian tribe that thrived under the command of the powerful Wahitawahi clan. When the British Pacific Company, under the command of Clark Harrington, came ashore, they were met with an icy reception from the reigning emperor, Lord Tauhiri Kauri Wahitawahi. Having heard stories of South American natives suffering under the brutality of colonial rule, Lord Tauhiri recognized the ominous threat the Europeans posed. His initial warning was peaceful, but as Clark Harrington continued to overstep his boundaries, the Polynesian king declared war. From 1627, the tranquil islands under the Waktali Empire became a battleground. The British Pacific Company, supported by the Byzantine settlers, waged a bloody war that claimed the lives of tens of thousands of Waktali. They advanced, claiming one territory after another, bolstered by considerable support from the British Crown. By 1650, the vibrant Waktali Empire was a shadow of its former self, succumbing to the relentless onslaught of the European coalition. This victory was tainted by atrocities committed in the name of conquest, shortly followed by the death of Emperor Theodoros. The conquered land was rechristened the Victorian Realm, erasing centuries of Waktali heritage. In the aftermath, Byzantine settlers were granted a large island, which they named New Thessaly. This new home, twice the size of Cyprus, offered a fresh start in the Pacific Ocean, a testament to the enduring spirit of the Byzantine people.
In the next episode, we will watch how the British rule in the Victorian realm is tested by the resolve of the Waktali people and their unexpected new leader, one with an interesting lineage. If you love this story, do subscribe for more content like this one. Until next time, cheers.